I'm Rodney Whittenberg.
And I'm David Heitler-Klevans.
And this is Music for the New Revolution.
You will never forgiveness. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. I apologize. Said I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive my heart. I'm sorry. You are forgiven. You are forgiven.
So, I guess by our intro, you've all figured out that this show is about forgiveness. And it was inspired by a conference that I was working on with Bryn Mawr College. The School of Social Work and Social Justice presented a conference on forgiveness about a year ago. And I was there to produce some podcasts and help out with the production of the show. And I invited David to come along.
It was a very powerful event.
David and I were talking, and we just felt that it's a difficult topic to deal with right now for some, but one of the things that was so powerful about the conference was the recognition of how much not forgiving and holding on to that bitterness is destructive to the individual who is the one who needs to do the forgiving, or should do, or could do. I don't want to say could, shoulds, but and for me, one of the really inspiring things to do the show too was, for those of you out there who get a chance to take a look at this, there's a really amazing interview between Maya Angelou and Dave Chappelle, and I think it's on Oxygen, or no, not Oxygen. I think it's on Oprah's network. I think it's Oprah's Heroes or something like that. Anyway, there's a scene in it where Dave is talking to Maya Angelou, and she's talking, and Dave goes, "Wow, I didn't realize that John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, and Martin were your friends." And she goes, "Yeah, they were not only icons and leaders, but they're people I knew. I was friends with them. They were close friends with me." And Dave asked the question, "How are you not bitter? How are you not angry?" And she responds with the wisdom that Maya Angelou has, and saying, "Bitterness will eat you up inside. Bitterness will destroy you. But anger, you can do something with that. You can march it. You can write it down. You can turn it into theater, into song. You can change. You can evoke change." And so what that also said to me was the process of forgiveness is necessary to get to a point of transformation or change.
Mm-hmm. So, one thing that comes up in our show periodically is what makes songs effective in getting across the message. And I think that one thing that we're especially going to find within this theme is that songs that tell a story, songs that have a narrative approach to the topic, are going to be really prominent in what we're going to explore. And there's obvious reasons why that's an effective tool for getting across an idea, because when we get pulled into that story and we empathize with what's going on with the characters, with the people, we're more open to the ideas that are put across that way. So I think that's why sometimes so many political songs in general and other kinds of songs as well can be very effective in using that as a method.
Yeah, and the songs that we picked are pretty powerful, and also we have so much information for this particular show, we decided to break it up into two parts. So in our first section, we're going to be talking with Sharon Katz, who is a musician who was born in South Africa. And in the second half, we will be talking with John Flynn, who spends a lot of his time, when he's not being a touring folk singer, working in prisons. Mm-hmm. But to get things started, you want to introduce the first song, David?
Yeah, so there's a wonderful duo called Small Potatoes, and they have this beautiful song called 1,000 Cranes, 1,000 Candles. And I could tell you all about what it's about, but I think it's such a great song, partly because you'll get the idea from hearing the story that's told. But it's a beautiful story of forgiveness, of reconciliation.
My grandmother had 3 sons. She dreamed about her children's children. But then came 1941. Only one son would see the war end. Joseph died marching in Bataan, Frank on the sands of Iwo Jima. The day the bomb destroyed Japan, she thanked God and Harry Truman. She blamed the godless Japanese for having crushed her sweetest dreams. 1,000 candles for my sons, every day I will remember. In Illinois, far from her past, Miss Nakamura still remembers. She was 6 when she saw the flash that turned the world to smoke and ashes. Mother taught her daughter well, run from the fire to the river. And there she found a living hell, but not a mother or a father. Though she survived with just a scrape, her family vanished into space. 1,000 sons, 1,000 cranes, every day I will remember. My grandmother had 3 sons. She never dreamed she'd have a daughter. But at the age of 81, she met a nurse named Nakamura. And it was a question only meant to make some talk and pass the hours, about a picture by the bed, a photograph of 2 young soldiers. Hatred and anger stored for years slowly melted into tears. 1,000 candles, 1,000 cranes, every day I will remember. Now I have a picture in my mind of 2 women slowly walking. August 6th, 1985, walking to church to light a candle. And they once asked me to explain why grown men play such foolish games. 1,000 candles, 1,000 cranes, every day I will remember.
written on the chart there at the foot end of the bed. They think I'm blind, that I can't read it, but I've read it every word, and every word it says is death. So confession, is that the reason that you came? Get it off my chest before I check out of the game. Since you mention it, well, there's 13 things I'll name, 13 crosses high above the cold Missouri waters. August 49, North Montana, the hottest day on record, and the forest tinder dry. Lightning strikes in the mountains. I was crew chief at the jump base. I prepared the boys to fly. Pick the drop zone. C-47 comes in low. Feel the tap upon your leg that tells you go. See the circle of the fire down below. 15 of us dropped above the cold Missouri waters. Gauge the fire, I'd seen bigger, so I ordered them to Side Hill. We'd fight it from below. We'd have our backs to the river. We'd have it licked by morning, even if we took it slow. But the fire crowned jumped the valley just ahead. There was no way down, headed for the ridge instead. Too big to fight it, we'd have to fight that slope instead. Flames one step behind above the cold Missouri waters. The sky turned red, smoke was boiling. 200 yards to safety, death was 50 yards behind. I don't know why, I just thought it. I struck a match to waist-high grass, running out of time. Tried to tell them, step into this fire I've set. We can't make it, this is the only chance you'll get. But they cursed me, ran for the rocks above instead. I lay face down and prayed above the cold Missouri waters. And when I rose like the phoenix, and that world reduced to ashes, there were none but two survived. I stayed that night, and one day after, carried bodies to the river, wondering how I stayed alive. 13 stations of the cross to mark their fall. I've had my say, I'll confess to nothing more. I'll join them now, those that left me long before. 13 crosses high above the cold Missouri waters. 13 crosses high above the cold Missouri shore.
So two very powerful songs with a very different approach to the idea of forgiveness. We heard Small Potatoes with 1,000 cranes, 1,000 candles, and then the Cry, Cry, Cry version of Cold Missouri Waters by James Keelahan, great Canadian songwriter. And that second song, you know, really deals with the idea of whether or not you can forgive yourself, and sort of the idea of survivor's guilt. So that's a very interesting, unique take on the topic. I think that part of the thing I noticed when we started looking around for songs about this topic is, you know, partly maybe because forgiveness is sort of an unusual theme, that there's a real wide variety of ways that songwriters have approached the theme.
Yeah, it's also interesting because it I guess I'll go out on a limb and say it seems like the quality of these particular songs are better than some of the other songs we sometimes encounter, and because they're not necessarily political, they don't start off that way. And again, I know I have a little gripe about protests and political songs can not be as good as some other types of songs. I don't know why that is. It's kind of interesting, but these songs, all the songs we found, seem to have a depth and a skill of really good songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, I wouldn't distinguish that from political songwriting, maybe. But well, and in particular, the Small Potatoes one, in making this point of how two people, one a mother who lost sons in World War II fighting against the Japanese, and the other young woman from Japan who survived Hiroshima, the bombing of Hiroshima, and the fact that these two people have a relationship and have a reconciliation and come to understand each other is a very powerful anti-war message, really, at heart. And so that's why, to me, that feels like a particularly political song, but it does it, like we talked about before, through telling a story, through that human interaction that comes out through the narrative.
Yeah, and this concept of forgiveness is so important to the growth of each of us, to the individual. It reminds me of a story. I was lucky enough to interview John Lewis a few years ago, and one of the questions I asked them was how after Selma were you able to have interactions with, people, particularly white people, right, after being beaten by sticks and attacked by dogs, and he really talked about what he talked about was it was too big a burden to bear. Like that anger, that hate was too big a burden to bear. And he referenced Martin Luther King and talking about how if you didn't get that burden off of you, you were not going to be helpful or useful to the movement or the cause. It just wouldn't work. And he told me this beautiful story about how many years later, when he was a sitting congressman, how this person made an appointment to come see him from his district and walked into the office and said, "Mr. Lewis, this is my son, and I want him to hear me say this. I'm the one who beat you, and I wanted to say I'm sorry. And I wanted to apologize to you, and I wanted my son here to hear me say this to you." And that, to me, is what this whole show's about.
Yeah, and it's very powerful. It really, I think that sometimes people think of forgiving as somehow something weak, and stories like that, to me, are so clearly the opposite. That there's that incredible, powerful strength in the act of forgiveness. And so, just to go a 180 here, sometimes I think one of the best ways to make a point is to go the opposite way. So in both parts, I thought it would be fun to have a revenge song,
okay,
almost as a cautionary tale. I think these songs are, so that it proves the opposite, that the sort of the pointlessness of living for revenge. And the one that we wanted to include in this one is from the great group, the Decemberists, and this is the Mariner's Revenge Song.
We are two mariners, a ship's sole survivors, in this belly of a whale. Its ribs are ceiling beams, its guts are carpeting. I guess we had some time to kill. You may not remember me, I was a child of 3, and you a lad of 18. But I remember you, and I will relate to you how our history's in a weave. At the time you were a rake and harassed about spending all your money on gold. took you in. Her sheets still warm with him, now filled with filth and foul disease. As time wore on, you proved a dead-ridden drunken mess, leaving my mother a poor consumptive wretch. Oh, and then you disappeared, your gambling arrears, the only thing you left behind. And then the magistrate reclaimed our small estate, and my poor mother lost her mind. Then one day in spring, my dear sweet mother died. But before she did, I took her hand as she dying cried. Oh,
Find him, tie him to a pole and break his fingers to splinters, turn him to a hole until he wakes up naked, clawing at the ceiling of his grave.
it took me 15 years to swallow all my tears among the urchins in the street, until a priory took pity and hired me to keep their vestry nice and neat. But never once in the employ of these holy men did I ever once turn my mind from the thought of revenge. Oh. One night I overheard the prior exchanging words with a penitent whaler from the sea. The captain of his ship, who matched you toe-to-tip, was known for one cruelty. The following day I shipped to sea with a privateer, and in the whistle of the wind I could almost hear,
Find him, tie him to a pole and break his fingers to splinters, drag him to a hole until he wakes up naked, clawing at the ceiling of his grave. There is one thing I must say to you. As you sail across the sea, always your mother will watch over you as you avenge this wicked deed.
And then that fateful night, we had you in our sight after 20 months at sea. With your starboard flank abeam I was getting my muskets clean when came this rumbling from beneath. The ocean shook, the sky went black, and the captain quailed. And before us grew the angry joys of a giant whale. Don't know how I survived. The crew all was chewed alive. I must have slipped between his teeth. But oh, what providence, what divine intelligence, that you should survive as well as me. It gives my heart great joy to see your eyes fill with fear. So lean in close and I will whisper the last words you'll hear. Oh.
Sharon Katz is a really wonderful and inspiring person. We're lucky to have her living part of the year here in the Philadelphia area when she's not back in her homeland of South Africa. And because she's often in this area, we had the opportunity to actually have her come in and talk to us in the studio rather than doing it over the phone like we usually do.
So here's a little bit of our interview with Sharon Katz.
A soul is born to live, a soul is born to die. Where do I wonder or ask the reason why? How did we collide? What brought
So we are honored to have Sharon Katz in the studio with us.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure. Glad to be here in your presence.
Yes, that's awesome. So actually that leads me to my first question. I think we talked a little bit about Mandela having to, basically a whole country having to have experience forgiveness. And I'm wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
It's a huge thing to talk about, but of course I can try and summarize it a little bit. But you know, South Africa, we think about South Africa. You think about apartheid. You think about a nation or a country of over 44 million people being oppressed by a minority of a mere 7 million whites that controlled for over 40 years. And I mean, prior to that as well, but apartheid as a regime was in place for over 40 years and undermined the majority of people in the country. And when you're dealing with a majority like that and a huge amount of people that have been basically oppressed, enslaved, mistreated, abused, kept down, lack of education, lack of resources, discriminated against, relegated to live in substandard conditions and for no reason other than race, which isn't a reason, but the powers that be did that to the people. You're talking about a huge amount of rage, anger, just terrible, terrible conditions that people lived in. And so to have someone like Nelson Mandela then come out of jail after 27 years, he's in jail, and then start talking about forgiveness, it was unheard of.
Right.
It's unheard of. And the people, for the most part, were like, what? How can we do this? What are you talking about, forgiveness? I'm talking truth now, not necessarily all the platitudes, because, yes, of course, for the world to see, it was Mandela came out from jail talking about forgiveness, and the whole country just said yes. But it's not such a simple matter, because people, certainly my friends that were, my Black South African friends that were heavily involved in the struggle, many were like, hey, how can we do this? What are you talking about? This is crazy. But Mandela, in his wisdom and with the support of his cabinet to be and his comrades, and all the other forces and people that were trying to maintain calm in South Africa, saw good reason to calm people down with this compassion, forgiveness. Let's work together. And it worked. It worked. If it hadn't worked, we wouldn't have the South Africa that we have today. With all of our issues, all of our problems, we've got plenty of those. But we have an atmosphere in South Africa which works. People work together. People want to work together, and they want to see the future together. And that's a miracle. I mean, was amazing. He rose to become the man that he was. And then, of course, all of his years in prison gave him a lot of time to think and strategize, and to mastermind the whole thing. But, I just feel honored to have been touched by this man, to have been, moved spiritually and emotionally, and to have met him when he came out of jail, and to have been able to raise up the project that we raised up, the Peace Train project, which really epitomized what he was talking about. He talked about the Rainbow Nation. We were living the Rainbow Nation with our project, the Peace Train, bringing children together of all different races, which had never been done before. I mean, I'm excited to know that it's being done now, but back then it wasn't happening. We were segregated. There was no way that you could bring people together on a stage of that magnitude. So, and then to raise up the project and travel around the country on the train during those times, which it was still violence, and, leading up to the elections. That was the Peace Train project, and it still is. But there are no times to match what happened in South Africa. It was like unbelievable change at such a rapid pace. But at the time when Mandela was released from prison, between the time that he was released, which is 1990, and his election in 1994, those 4 years was when we raised the Peace Train, and it was an incredible time of change, just massive amounts of change, and then this, as you're talking about, forgiveness, this atmosphere that was created that said, we just cannot descend into chaos. It's important, it's critical. We have to survive as a nation, as a country, we must work together. So, I feel privileged, I really do. I feel humbled by my experience.
So we're going to be hearing the beautiful tribute to Mandela that you wrote. Do you want to say a little bit about how that song came about, and how you came to write it and what went into that process?
Absolutely. Well, I wrote that particular song post Peace Train South Africa experience. I happened to be in the States when I wrote that song. around about 2002, I think. And I was working with Rodney. You might remember Bolden Abrams. I don't know. He had a company called Coffee and Cream Music Publishing.
Yeah.
And he was very creative. We wrote a few songs together. And one day I met him here in Philly. And one day I came to him and I said, I've got this hook. I was driving and this chant came into my head. And it was, Mandela, oh, Mandela, oh. And we sat down and we wrote the lyrics together and put the song together. And I recorded it in Philadelphia with the rhythm section, and then went to South Africa and recorded the vocals, guitar, an additional guitar. And that track just came out, put it onto this album, Imbizo. I called it Imbizo because Imbizo is a gathering of people. It's a traditional gathering. It's normally in a rural area on the mountainside, and all the chiefs come on the horseback, and that's a true Imbizo. But Imbizo can also just mean a meeting. So I called it Imbizo, the album. And we actually had a Grammy nomination for that album. It was very, very well received. And yeah, lovely, lovely album. But I love that song. It talks about Mandela, his life, and talks about the spirit that we need to, what we're talking about here today. I think we just wanted to put out the history a little bit, like 27 years in jail. They couldn't break his spirit. He sang behind the prison walls. The whole world could hear it. It was just more global, more inspirational in a sense,
You mentioned you wrote the song with Bolden. What was that process like? How did that happen?
It's so funny that you asked that question, because Bolden was just a joy to work with. He really was fun. We had loads of fun. We used to work until like 3-4 in the morning. He would arrive at my place with a bag of scraps of paper with words written on them, and then he'd just pour them out on the couch, and he just because he had his favorite words, and he'd say, "Does this work? Does that work? Oh wait, let's take out his." He was just fantastic. We had so much fun. But everything about Bolden was all about creativity. So that was what we did. And we would just find the right words, and then we'd try it. And I had this little, back in the day, I had this little cassette, can you believe it, multi-track recording device. And I'd try out different ideas, and we'd record, and it was just a flow.
Yeah.
It was an incredible flow. And until it clicked like a jigsaw puzzle.
He's the champion of change, a pioneer of passion, a man of hope, of vision and action, our Nubian king, the man with a dream. He showed us the way into a new day. Mandela, oh Mandela, oh.
Even I wrote another song, I haven't released it yet, about Mandela when he passed away. I've performed it many times and it's been, but I haven't put it on an album yet.
Could you sing a little bit of it now? Yep.
I wrote it quite a while ago, this song. And I performed it with 100 singers on our tour last year. We took 100 young people around the United States for a tour of, we called it the 2016 Peace Train Tour, putting the United back in the USA. And we sang the song, Hambagakle Mandela, rest in peace and guide the world. Salaka Khotson Tata, you have done your work. You led us all. Hambagakle Madiba, rest in peace and guide the world. Salaka Khotso Tata, now it's our turn. You taught us well. You taught us well. Ashe hom hom hom, ashe hom, ashe hom hom hom, ashe hom, ashe hom hom hom, ashe hom, ashe hom hom hom, ashe hom. Siyabonga Madiba, umsebenzi wako. Siyabonga Madiba, umsebenzi wako. Oh, we thank you, Madiba, for the work that you have done. Siyabonga, oh helele, yelele, yelele. On behalf of the nation, you taught us how to forgive one another and move together in peace. Siyabonga Madiba, we need your inspiration, Mandela. Oh, helele, helele, helele. Hambagakle Mandela, rest in peace and guide the world. Salaka Khotso Tata, now it's our turn. You led us all. You taught us well. Siyabonga Madiba.
All right. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
What a treat. And what's the translation?
Yeah, little impromptu there.
Mm-hmm.
Siyabonga just means we thank you.
Oh, okay.
And Hambagakle is go well. Go well. Hambagakle Mandela. Madiba was Mandela's clan name. And rest in peace. Salaka Khotso.
Oh, okay. So you sang it in English and then sang it in...
Hambagakle is Zulu Xhosa, and Salaka Khotso. Khotso is Sesotho. Sala stay, rest in peace. Salaka Khotso Tata. Tata's grandfather. So he's affectionately known as Tata.
So it's a very multilingual song,
Yeah.
as
I guess.
your country is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And-
it
How many
is.
official languages are there? 11?
11.
Right? Yeah.
11 official languages. Yeah. It's
Very cool.
amazing.
And I noticed that you had the tempo change was there, or field change. Was there a message in there for, like, was there a shift that happened? That musical shift happens. What were you thinking emotionally, or what were you?
Well, it's about jubilation. You know, it's about celebration as well. You can't talk about Mandela without you know, it's all about celebrating. I mean, the way that I played it now was very different from the live show. The live show was slamming because we have dancers and we have the whole middle section is.
I get it.
It's
now
more
that-
like
yeah.
a music video.
Yeah, but I
Maybe
get it.
that's-
Like this sort of not necessarily somber beginning, but sort of an honoring in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then the jubilant celebration,
Exactly.
and then back to an
Exactly.
honoring it.
You know, I think a lot of people in this country have their images of Mandela are often from movies. And I wonder if you have a favorite, you know, Color of Freedom or Invictus, or, you know, is there a movie that you felt captured well, even just one aspect of the man, or a critique? I mean, maybe you have some feelings about the way he's been portrayed in movies that you didn't like.
There have been a lot of movies with Mandela, but I must say I really did like Long Walk to Freedom. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, does he pronounce his name Idris or Idris?
Idris.
Idris Elba, right? I thought he did a wonderful job portraying Mandela, and as well as Morgan Freeman, right? Oh my gosh, Invictus was excellent. I remember the scene when he reaches out to the secretaries in the civil service that are expecting that their days are over now working in Pretoria. And I actually know the building, and I've actually been into the building to visit not Mandela, but one of the ministers that, you know, that we were very close to, Jeff Radebe from KwaZulu-Natal, and when he went to work in Pretoria. So I was in the building and I could understand the whole situation. But Mandela just reaching out that way and you're sort of alleviating their fears and say, look, we need to work together. I want you to stay on my team. And they were so surprised because they were white Afrikaans women that had been working for the old government. And now here was this black South African man that had been in prison, who they'd been taught to fear and hate. And now he was not only their boss, but president of the entire country. And it's a scene that stands out to me that I think they really captured it. You know, I'm all for all of these kinds of movies.
Well, it really gets across a lot of what we've been talking about, this idea that, you know, how powerful that those moments are, that Mandela is such an example of surprising people by not wanting revenge, by, you know, by coming back from all of this mistreatment that he'd suffered and being better than that. And showing
just taking
a
the
different way.
higher ground,
Exactly.
always. I mean, if we could, I was listening to some of the speeches this morning before I came. I put on the speeches, Mandela speeches at the Rivonia trial, and I was just listening to the way he spoke. He was brilliant. The way he spoke to the judges, you know, who, of course, they were being tried for treason, you know. And we will all know the stories, and the story that they portrayed in Long Walk to Freedom was just so true to life, about how they raided the farm, the Rivonia farm, you know, and on and on and on. But Mandela was a brilliant man, and that's the thing that I really take my hat off to Black South Africans that have been able to take over the reins of government and speak multiple languages. This is something that we really need to respect. And in Pretoria, in the seat of the Afrikaans government, the only language they spoke was Afrikaans, which is not spoken anywhere else in the world, right? They couldn't speak the Queen's English the way Mandela spoke English. I'm just putting it in a very tactful way. And, you know, the brilliance of our leaders that came into power. It really can't be underestimated. It's absolutely amazing. So I think that the films are great because and I also love Danny Glover in the earlier films. Danny Glover and Alfred. I met them both in South Africa. Danny and Alfred Woodard. In fact, I was on a TV show with Alfred. They were telling the stories of South Africa before the ending of apartheid, and it's been amazing to witness. Really has.
It's interesting. We're talking about your music in relation to forgiveness, and just this morning saw the most interesting thing online, and I have to do some more little research to find out what's actually true. But apparently, down in the South somewhere, a group of white people drove by a black kids' party and were screaming all this craziness, and they had the Confederate flag, and they were saying they were going to kill them and all this sort of stuff. And at the hearing, the two people who were kind of leading this thing, they were sentenced to, one was sentenced to 13 years in jail, the other was sentenced to 7, and the mother of the kid who was having the birthday party was there, the black woman, and she forgave them. She stood up and said, "No, I forgive you." And I thought, wow, just like at the church a couple of years ago with was it Dylan Roof? They forgave him
In Charleston.
in Charleston. Yeah.
Right.
And it is awesome, using awesome in the true sense of the word, that people can bring up that sense of I guess it's unconditional love, or the love that comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
That they can have that strength to forgive someone who's wronged them. So
That is amazing. I know. It's something that, we read about it in Buddhist books, and all the religious texts talk about this. But to actually do it, to actually feel it, and be able to, when you've been so wronged, to do it for the larger, greater good, I think is really amazing. And as a South African, I deeply, deeply admire and respect my Black South African friends for being able to embrace not only me, but the future of living together in a new South Africa. And certainly here, it saddens us, really. It really saddens us to see what's happening in America. We don't want to see it here in America, but I don't have to tell you, Rodney, you know on the deepest level that this has always been. It never ended, racism here.
yeah.
So, but to find areas and pockets where people can set an example to others, and certainly the younger generation, to not live with bitterness and hatred. It's admirable. It really is truly admirable. And I think that once again, I feel really privileged that I was able to mount the Peace Train project, because the reason for doing so was to give young people in particular an opportunity to come together, and to all races, black, white, Indian, and biracial people in South Africa, called colored, or were called colored by the apartheid regime, and still refer to themselves as colored, because it's not going to just go away. I mean, my son is colored; he's not going to say it's anything else, But we're all human beings, but having had that opportunity to raise up this generation of young people and to spread it through music and all of the projects that we've done as the Peace Train. It's been phenomenal. And particularly the Peace Train, the experience of living together on the train. You saw the documentary, Dave. Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah.
Great. It's very
living
inspiring.
together. Yeah, thanks. I mean, that was a social experiment. It was really like, okay, let's see if we all living together visibly. The TV cameras are filming. We're on TV. We're performing together at this time in 1993 before elections. If we can do this, the country should be able to do it. That was the purpose, and it really did work. You know, it was very exhilarating, jubilant experience. It's great having an opportunity to talk to you two guys.
Yes.
Great to talk with you,
You too.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming.
That's a great pleasure. I wish you luck with this, and I think it's good what you're doing. People need a lot of inspiration right now.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you.
Yes, thank
very
you so
much.
much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you for having me. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
What we are and what we were once are now far astray. Coming to the biggest city in
So that was The Story with Grace in Gravity to finish up our South African segment with the wonderful interview with Sharon Katz.
And we'd like to thank Sharon for stopping by and sharing her stories, songs, and spirit with us. Be on the lookout for our new website, as well as Spotify playlists that we'll be creating, which will be a more immediate response to some of the things that are happening or that are reported in the news.
Music for the New Revolution is written, edited, and produced by Rodney Whittenberg and David Heitler-Klevans. It's recorded and engineered at Melody Vision Studios in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. All music used in this program is for promotional and educational purposes only. You can find out more information about Music for the New Revolution on our Facebook page. I'm Rodney Whittenberg.
I'm David Heitler-Klevans.
And thanks for listening to Music for the New Revolution.
Will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.